to say one thing as well. We are right now in a second going to introduce you for another person which is linked with Isa in a way I had not imagined. So, okay, coming up. What are the secret ingredients in a powerful relay race? Now, the answer probably will shock you, at least it did with me. So that leads me to our second guest for today's show. And I have to say that I'm a very big fan of our next guest. It is Yves Moreau, who time after time adds a pioneering view on organizational thinking. Yves is the director of Boston Consulting Group's Institute of Organization. He's an expert in the corporate transformation and leads the firm's development of behavioral groundwork for competitive change. Now, Yves was and is a BCG follower from 2008 until today. Yves is also the author of 6 Simple Rules, How to Manage Complexity Without Getting Complicated. Welcome, Yves.
Hello, Martin. Hello, friends. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Listen, I have to say one thing. I met you the first time through a video, not a Teams call, but a viral video, which I too would like to share with everyone because I think it's brilliant what you're saying here. So before I ask you any questions, let's watch this.
World Championship final, women, 8 teams in the final. The fastest team is the US team. They have the fastest women on earth. They are the favorite team to win. Notably, if you compare them to an average team, say the French team, based on their best performance in the 100-meter race, if you add the individual times of the US runners, they arrived at the finish line 3.2 meters ahead of the French team. And this year, the US team is in great shape. So what happened? The fastest team did not win. The slower one did. By the way, I hope you appreciate the deep historical search I did to make the French look good. Huh? It's not, but let's not exaggerate, it's not archaeology either. Huh? Okay. So, but why? Because of cooperation. You know, when you hear this sentence, thanks to cooperation, the whole is worth more than the sum of the parts. This is not poetry. This is not philosophy. This is math. Those who carry the baton are slower, but their baton is faster. Miracle of cooperation. It multiplies energy, intelligence in human efforts. It is the essence of human efforts. How we work together, how each effort contributes to the effort of others. With cooperation, we can do more with less.
Wow, that's charming, Yves. And I have to say, what Yves have in common with Aisha will surprise you, because guess what? They both come from the Ivory Coast, from Senegal. So here we go. We have 2 amazing individuals on the show. And I have to ask you, Yves, a question about this topic you just shared with now. We talked about the paradox of the frozen middle. How does that play into this topic we just discussed here?
Yeah, exactly. The frozen middle, mid-managers between the top and frontline managers is where teamwork is designed, is created. And there is a paradox, because it is precisely when change is the most vital for companies that those the best placed to carry out that change, to drive that change, middle managers, are the least likely to do it. Why? So it's obvious why change is so important today, and Aisha, in her conversation earlier, she also discussed, digital, the need for autonomy, of course, sustainability, the productivity issue. We need change. Just productivity improvement has been divided by 10 over the last 50 years. It used to be 5% per annum. It is 0.5 today. So we need to change. And as you know, with volatility, change is more frequent. So it's becoming endemic. And middle managers, they are between the top leaders who give the long-term direction for change and the frontline managers who lead day-to-day operations. So the continuity, the link is provided by mid-managers. And the problem is that today they are less and less engaged. They are even sometimes what we call actively disengaged. That is, they actively disengage frontline people reporting to them. The top has launched a new initiative. Yeah, but don't bother. It will be superseded by a new one soon. So this is active disengagement. They tend sometimes, all too often, to in the bottom-up communication, exaggerate the constraints, even going for remote work. Zoom, Teams, hybrid. Oh, the Teams will never accept. It will not work. And look at what has happened. It worked. So why is this happening? Why these frozen mid-managers that are actively disengaged, not engaged enough, sometimes cascading top-down communication in a selective way, exaggerating constraints from the bottom in their communication? Very often what we hear as an explanation is, well, these mid-managers, they don't have the capabilities, first. Second, they tend to protect their position. They are protective of their position. Third, they are change resistant. They resist change. And that's why you have this paradox. Those supposed to be the catalyst of change are the inhibitor of change. And this is totally wrong. All these explanations are wrong. Capabilities, resistance, protection, they are wrong. And because the explanations are wrong, the solutions are also wrong. And you have a vicious circle where we put mid-managers in a more and more impossible situation. Just resistance. People resist change. How often do we hear that? This is wrong. People change style. During the talk, I looked at Marshall's look 20 years ago. Marshall at the time was not wearing a beard. Marshall has changed his style. So people change style. They change cars. They change houses. They change jobs. They even change husband or wife. So, as long as change is beneficial, people don't resist change. What is going on in reality? In reality, we have put mid-managers in an impossible situation. Companies face more and more business complexity. The world has become more complex. We have measured it with our teams. We have measured. The world has become 6 times more complex. To attract customers, keep customers, create value for customers, we need to satisfy more and more requirements. We need affordability, reliability, speed, innovation, efficiency, personalization, standardization, compliance, risk management, global consistency, local response. And companies respond by becoming more and more complicated.